Coming up for you today on Real Talk, we've got an exclusive interview with horror film director and writer James Eves. We'll also be having a chat with filmmaker John Sanders, and we've got an exclusive acoustic performance from musician Cloudy Lewis. Also throughout the show, I'll be revealing to you a few of the winners of this year's London Indie Film Festival, so don't go anywhere. Hey, and welcome to Real Talk with me, Jon Hornbuckle. As always here, we aim to bring you all the best news on what's going on in the world of film that you might not have heard about. To kick-start the show today, we'll be talking to writer, director and producer James Eves about his feature-length horror, Bane, which he began filming in 2008 and has been released just this year. So let's take a quick look at that trailer.
It was about a man, a surgeon. He was an evil man. He tortured his patient. He tortured me. I don't want to die.
Pretty scary stuff, and here's the man behind it all, James Eves. James, it's great to have you here on the show today, so tell us what we can expect from the film Bane.
Okay, so Bane is about 4 women who wake up in an underground cell. They've got no memories, they don't know why they're there, and through the course of the film we sort of exact horrific gore and aliens and surgeons and all kind of things turn up.
Aliens as well, so you're mixing a bit of sci-fi with the horror genre?
Yeah.
Okay, so where do you start something like that? Was that as an idea you already had, or was it starting as a horror film and it just turned into a sci-fi bloodbath?
Yeah, I mean, it started off as a very sort of cliche-ridden horror film, like a slasher film, and I got a little bit tired of that, so I thought I'll chuck a bit of science fiction in there. Mix it up a little bit, yeah.
Were there any obstacles you guys had to overcome? Was there like any problematic aliens?
Not so much with the aliens. We shot over the Halloween period, so we ran out of blood while we were filming, film blood.
Fake blood, yeah.
Fake blood,
okay.
Yeah. So we had to go out and make some from a supermarket, and the supermarket blood that you make is very sticky, it's very smelly, it doesn't clean off very well. So there's a lot of actresses running around with orange faces where it would stain them.
Okay, sounds good. And were there many things that inspired you to be a filmmaker, particularly for the horror genre?
Horror's always interested me because it deals with sort of primal fears, and it's a really good way of connecting with your audience, getting them excited about the film and getting them engaged with it.
And you took part in Southampton Film Week, where we got a screening of your film and also a Q&A session. We've got a little clip of that if you want to take a look over here. We'll see how we got on.
If you do a drama, you need a name. You know, if you do a comedy, what's funny over here might not translate particularly well in a foreign country, whereas what's scary here is scary everywhere. For me, Bane is a project about freedom, not just in the story, but also in the way that it was shot. Because obviously I came to Southampton Institute, it's called back then. When I left, I had a few options open to me, and horror seemed like a good one because I knew there was a market out there. My graduation film at the Institute used to be shown to people when they did their third year film as an example of not what to do, because it was too ambitious, and we had an alien in it, we had all sorts, it was so over the top, and it looked, Bane does occasionally, it would look very Plan 9, you know, wobbly sets, that kind of stuff.
How did you get the funding for this, and do you think it's getting harder to get funding to make films on this sort of scale, given government cuts that are coming in?
Almost all of the films I've made, we've self-funded. So if you fund the film yourself, you've got complete control. Then if you do end up selling the film and making a profit on the film, then that profit comes to you. It doesn't go to another person first, and then you end up being, you know, even further down the line of people who end up getting payouts from the film. Sound and the music so important, and he did a fantastic job on it. Just getting all those little, you know, doors shutting, all that voices over the tannoy, all that
and
kind of
locks
stuff.
and all of that kind of.
Yeah, really sells that environment and makes you kind of believe you're not in a warehouse in Whiteley or wherever we shot it. You know, you kind of feel like you're in the environment. So yeah, sound is so important.
You easily have sort of almost two narratives going on. You know, the slasher who's in the poster and the alien itself. Why combine the two? Why not have two different?
The fun factor of filming it, I think. A scene will come to me and I'll think, right, this film's going to have something to do with knowing when you're going to die. For example, this one, I was thinking, what if you knew exact time you were going to die, and how would I kind of build a plot around that? So I often start off with an idea like that, and from there I kind of add in. I sort of think I've always wanted to do something with aliens in, and how could I do that with, you know, no money at all? And this is kind of the result.
If you fancy checking out Bane for yourself, it's available in HMV stores and online. So James, apart from your own films of course, what one would you choose as an all-time favourite?
Favourite films, always a tricky question. For me, it changes like the weather. It depends what sort of mood I'm in, but I could say at the moment Star Wars, something like that, big epic science fiction.
Bit of a sci-fi geek.
Yeah, a bit of a nerd, yeah.
And so do you like more mainstream films as opposed to indie films?
Yeah, I mean,
then?
I like any film, you know, but I do like the big summer blockbuster ones, yeah.
What do you think that says about you as a director, that you're also accepting of these mainstream films?
I think it just, those sort of films inspire me, and there's nothing like a big blockbuster like Star Wars where you're taken to a completely different world.
What advice would you give to any filmmakers wanting to start out but restricted by their budget or what they're using?
I'd probably say don't do it, because there's only so much room on the shelves in Asda and HMV.
You don't want the competition.
But no, seriously, I'd say get your story right, get out there and just start shooting, and you'll learn.
And what can we expect from you in the future? You've got
another film coming out in January called
Right.
Bordello Death Tales, and I'm actually starting to shoot another film in February. It'll be another horror.
Okay, so keeping it horror. Will you ever do anything outside of horror?
If
or
my
is that
wife had anything to do with it, I'd be doing romantic comedies, but that's not
going to happen anytime soon? Okay, well, good luck with that, and thanks again for coming in, mate. Now, in April this year, the London Independent Film Festival celebrated its 8th birthday. And now we can reveal some of the films that came out on top this year, including winner of Best Micro Budget and Best Action Film. The festival has given unknown and small-time film directors opportunities to screen their talent in front of hundreds of people, so it's important that we really acknowledge the major springboard this is for directors and writers alike. The big winner this year was a film called Being Sold, a dark comedy by Phil Hawkins. The film won a £50,000 post-production deal with the Indie Film Festival sponsor, Focus London. The star of the film, Christopher Dane, plays John Foster, and the actor was celebrating a double whammy as he also picked up the festival's prize for Best Actor. Another winner was Zomblies, which was directed by David M. Reynolds, and it won the prize for the Best Sci-Fi Horror and Best Editing. The film sees a group of usually dominant zombie hunters, quite like the army, come under threat by a terrifying new breed of zombie. The director himself described the film as a tremendous horror, which was only allowed to be screened at the festival after 10 p.m. Critics have claimed that despite the supernatural theme of the undead, the film was shot with such realism that the opening scene could easily be mistaken for an army recruitment advert. We'll have a bit more news from the festival a little later on, but first, last week I went to interview filmmaker John Sanders to find out about his recent film Late September. Let's have a look at how I got on. First of all, do you just want to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about yourself?
Not young, as you can see. I've been in the industry since my early 20s. I was initially I intended to be a director all along, but I decided to take a kind of circuitous route.
Okay.
And I was an editor for a while, and then when I realised that was dealing with other people's stuff in the dark, I decided to become a sound recordist, and I was kind of a very eminent sound recordist quite quickly, got part of an Oscar and stuff. When Channel 4 came along, I switched to being a director.
Do you want to tell us a bit about your latest film, Late September, how that came about?
It's the story of a marriage. The occasion is the guy's 60-something birthday, 65th, I think. So his wife has gathered old friends around. And during the time of this birthday, everything, under the pressure of the excitement, etc., etc., falls apart.
So what would your advice be to anyone who wanted to get started?
Do it yourself.
Go your own way.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, I didn't, because I was brought in a completely different way. And also, actually, I don't know. Tell you the truth, I don't know. I haven't really been in the industry proper, for a long time.
Right.
Although all my friends still are, but they're getting of an age where they're either terribly successful or they're dropping out.
Right.
Because they're in their 60s. And I don't know quite how it functions anymore. But of course, skills are there to be learned, and it's wonderful to learn them. And there's nothing like work to actually become skillful. But just from my era, there were so many technicians that said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to be a filmmaker. I'm going to be a filmmaker." And then 20 years later, they're just technicians.
Yeah.
But that's just life, isn't it? Unless you were rich in those days, when I was young, you were never going to make. You were very unlikely to make a film. Now you can. I mean, I'm making them, and they're showing in proper cinemas for 13,000 quid. So I'm an aged pioneer. It can be done, and I think it should be done.
Can you tell me quickly how you fund your films? Where's the money come from?
It comes from my back pocket.
How much? All from yourself.
It comes from us, and this isn't to say that I'm a millionaire. I'm not extremely poor, but I don't have much money. I work here, for Christ's sake. You don't part time. And bits and pieces that come in. And I married an actress, and that's a bits and pieces situation. The last film, the one that's going to actually, amazingly, open at the ICA for 2 weeks and then go around the country, cost £12,000.
Do you get your films published and then into the cinema?
My feeling is, don't worry about it. Make the bloody thing and then see how good it is. This doesn't mean to say that the market will magically draw you in. The market will magically push you away, because actually you're an intruder and bad news. But you can creep in.
Thanks very much, John. There was some great advice for any aspiring filmmakers. A final bit of news for you now from the London Indie Film Festival. The winner of Best Micro Budget went to The Honey Killer, which is a stylish British black comedy about femme fatale who kills her boyfriend for money, and whoever said romance was dead. The jury at the festival commented that director Richard Harrison delivered a solidly cinematic, almost Hollywood-like thrill ride, and that you completely forget that The Honey Killer is actually a low-budget indie. That's a truly impressive film. SSDD was the winner of the Best No Budget Film. SSDD stands for Same Shit, Different Day, and that was directed by Greg Hall and has been described as being able to retain a social realist approach but remaining with a twist of comedy. It marked a mature step forward for Hall. The story follows the life of Lee, a troubled, newly released prisoner who embarks on a journey to discover why his younger brother was murdered. It's the second award the film has received. It also won the title of Best Script at the Portobello Film Festival in 2010. Finally, the winner of Best Action Film went to Jack Falls, which was directed by director Paul Tanter. The final instalment of the Jack trilogy, following Jack Said and Jack Says, follows an undercover police officer who returned to London seeking the people who he thinks tried to kill him when he was in Amsterdam. In the film, he are graced with a reunion of several members of the cast of Lock, Stock, including Jason Fleming and Dexter Fletcher. Some critics have said that Jack Falls could be cast as a British Sin City, but here at Real Talk, we'll let you make your own mind up about that. Now, we've got a very special interview and performance from acoustic artist Cloudy Lewis. It's nice to see you. You enjoying the show today?
Yeah.
And obviously we're all about film here at Real Talk, so what would you say has been one of your favourite films of 2011?
Well, it's very late in the year, but 50/50 was really, really good.
Okay, I've not had the chance to see that yet. What's it about? Just want to give us a quick summary.
It's meant to be a comedy about cancer, which
Okay.
I was quite sceptical about at
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
But it's like up and down the whole way through. It's really emotional.
I've heard it's up for loads of awards, so I'll try and check it.
it's
But
really good.
there's been tons and tons of superhero blockbusters this year. Are you a fan of any of them? What ones?
Yeah, I didn't get to see Captain America, but I saw Thor and I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, okay.
it's
God,
a
there's
film.
so many this year. So you spent the summer performing around Devon when you're not watching Thor. How was that for you? How many dates did you play?
Probably about 25 altogether, roughly.
Oh, okay. And what kind of music do you do when you're on tour? Any covers, anything like that?
Yeah, we do covers and originals. Yeah.
Cool. And how were people reacting to your music when you're out and about?
Yeah,
Have you got anything?
really well. Yeah, it doesn't matter what venue you're in. There's always people willing to listen.
Cool. And so the past few years we've had Adele, obviously blew up over the world, Ellie Goulding, Jessie J, all these people, did any of those inspire you?
Yeah,
What do you take from them?
It's been a really good year, well, era for female artists. They've all been doing really well, and yeah, I think you can take inspiration from all three of them.
And something like the X Factor, I know The Voice is coming up on the BBC. What do you think, how does that affect the music industry for people like yourself?
I think it's quite hard for musicians trying to make it on their own, but if you're on a fast track to fame, I think it's fine if that's what you're after. But
Did you ever go on any?
I don't think so. I think the contracts are quite binding and you're more a brand rather than artist.
Go your own way.
Yeah, I think.
And if you could choose any film to have your song on, what would you choose?
After listening to the Twilight soundtracks, they have really good music on there, so I think I'll go with that.
I think I prefer the soundtrack to the films, actually. I'll agree on you there, so high five to that. Now, Claudia is now going to play us out with your song Green, right? So if you want to go get yourself set up over there. And I just want to say a quick thanks to everyone who's been involved in today's show, and a big thank to James Eves for coming in to chat to us. Thanks to everyone. See you next week.
Grey, clouds my mind all the time.